Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
And welcome to the Friday night edition of Spaced Out Radio Tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this gorgeous planet. R Keith Andrews is our guest tonight. He's going the distance, full 3 hours, to take your questions on his final show of 2023. Yeah, we're going to have a good one tonight. Hello to race fan in the gold medal position, Robert Lamoth taking home the silver. Gizmo with a bronze medal tonight. Why Native, how you doing? Good to see you. Jimmy Gonzalez and Coley, how you doing? Not of this earth, Brown Dwarf, Jennifer Patterson, Kevin, Anna Boleen, and Griff. Good to see you all. And Palmer, how you doing? Celestial Streams. I've been listening to the old shows with Samantha Mowat. Yes, you must be from BC then, Celestial Streams. And JSCO. Mama Catherine is here. Mama Catherine's going to be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Black Dragon, our favorite Marine. How you doing, buddy? Thank you for your service. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Roger Murray, how you doing, my man? As we continue on with roll call. And let's see, who else do we have here? D. Cypher, what's happening? Laura Lobbs, good to see you. Monica, how are you? And Super Crazy, nice to see you as well. And let's continue on here. Corey, and who else is joining us? Cindy Pruitt is here. Cindy Pruitt will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. She only signs in gold pen. Continuing on, let's say hello to Millennium, my man, Lee the Bee, Dirt Road, Kurt M, Bar Madison, Major Lee. How y'all doing? Little Cam over on Twitch. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Who's on Facebook right now? John Lobin. How you doing, my man? Good to see you. Richard Elmore, thank you for coming on in. Desiree White and her swing. How are you? Good to see you. Vash the Impaler. Nice to have you here. And let's see here. Scrolling on down. Jenny White Bear. We start year number 10 tonight. Yep. Year number 10 starts right now with R Keith Andrews. Kathy Evans, thank you for joining us. Ray Finn, good to see you. And, oh, there he is. Number 37 in your program. Starting in goal tonight. From Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. Good to have you here, Lars. Continuing on, the attorney at large, Michael Morris. Nice to see you. And let's see here. Who else? Okay, we're caught up there. We are caught up there. Nice. It's going to be a fun show tonight with Keith. Make sure you get your questions in early and often. You only got to post them once. Dave will get to them. And if Dave misses them, Dave will ask you to repeat them. Let's get the radio side going. And we welcome in everybody on our podcast and radio side tonight. Dave Scott here of Spaced Out Radio. We are with R Keith Andrews in the ET Connection going on. And we hope you have a good time with us tonight as well as we wait for the arrival of Bill WD-40 into the chat room tonight so he can lube us up for tonight's show, because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. All right. Hope you're having a great time. Hope you're ready for your weekend. And let's see here. And who else do we have in our chat room? Destiny Rocks. Nice to see you. The purple-haired pixie Lara. Thank you for joining us. Sweet Donna C. Thank you for coming on in, my dear. And a reminder to all of you, the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. You can join our Space Travelers Club over on Patreon. And I promise I will get better at that. I suck at the Patreon thing. I really do. But I promise I'll get better. And you can shop at our store, spacedoutradio.com. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag right there. There's beautiful Bill WD-40 already lubing it up in the Spreaker chat. We appreciate that. And for everyone else, do us a favor. Get those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon, the SOR Space Travelers Club. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a power show of fun tonight with all of you. R Keith Andrews is going the distance on his final show of 2023. Hard to believe another year wrapping up here on Spaced Out Radio as we officially kick off year number 10 tonight. Then in hour number 3, Steve Stockton will be back with another spooky story from Among the Missing. Then right back to R Keith Andrews. And I would love for all of you, if you could do me a favor, send some love and healing to Courtney Marcassani, our UFO report lady. Okay, her mother's not doing very well, so we'd really appreciate if we could send some love and healing over to her, if you don't mind. All right, let's get right to it. R. Keith Andrews is a lifelong experiencer since childhood of the ET connection. He never asked to be a part of the alien world, but sometimes you have to play the cards that are dealt. Nowadays, some 60 years later, Keith helps counsel people who've had their own encounters, much like he does each and every month when he shows up here on Spaced Out Radio, and he'll take your questions all night long around everything extraterrestrial. We love Keith around here. And Keith, thank you so much for coming back on Spaced Out Radio. Hard to believe it is already the final appearance of 2023 for you, my friend.
It really is. I mean, this year has just flown by. But thank you so much for having me. Yeah, and realistically, if it weren't for these wonderful people here, we wouldn't be here at all.
Very true. And it really goes to show, Keith, the real diversity of the crowd of people who really want to learn about what it's like to have extraterrestrial contact or figure out why that contact is happening to them.
Oh, yeah, they come, people come from literally every walk of life. I've talked to everything from people that live on the street to multimillionaires, and they've all got the same questions.
And what are those questions?
For some reason, these guys do not differentiate. Off-worlders do not differentiate between people regarding anything. Like, income levels, orientation, religion, doesn't matter. They take them all.
One size fits all is what you're saying.
Pretty much. I mean, let's face
Right
it, they
on.
come in all kinds of different sizes, but you get the idea.
Oh, I get the idea, my friend. I get the idea. So, looking back at 2023 when it comes to your alien connections, what kind of year has it been for you?
Well, we have had a staggering number of new races coming into the area, which it's been fun trying to keep up with the added computer problems I've been having. But it has been just a remarkable turnover. You know, I sometimes debate whether I spend more time on Earth or off-world. I know my old pattern has been a little screwy, so you know.
Not you. No, not you, my friend.
Well, no, I guess for me it's been pretty normal.
Yeah, I can see
Although
that.
let's face it, normal is a little odd.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Keith, for you, does anything really surprise you anymore when it comes to ETs and why they're visiting, how they're getting here? Is it all the same, or do they each have their own ways of connecting with Earth?
Well, oddly enough, that's pretty much a yes to both questions. Okay, they've all got their own methods. Some of them are similar, etc. But it's all pretty routine from my end. You know, it's kind of like looking into a box of Smarties. You know, they come in all kinds of different colors, but they're all pretty much the same when you boil them down. But you know, there's a lot of people see the one big thing I've noticed is that humans have a tendency of lumping off-worlders into one category. You know, and it can't work that way. Well, it doesn't work that way. You know, I mean, when people go reptilian, what people don't seem to realize is I had documented about a dozen. I am now up, I think I've got like 18 different reptilian races. Now, I call them reptilian because that's what they look like in Terran terms. They are by no means reptilian, as in they didn't evolve here. Well, most of them didn't evolve here. But that's why I split them between off-world and ancient race. Ancient races evolved on Earth. Off-worlders didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, but you will find that they are all, whether we're, go ahead.
No, well, I guess what I was going to say is, do these races know where they're coming from? Do they know where the home is, how far away from home they are?
Best I can tell you there is their navigators do. Not all of the crew do.
Are they kept in secret on purpose?
They don't necessarily know the the coordinates of where they've arrived. You know, it's just you've got a mission, you're going there. You know, you're going, get on this ship at such and such a time, and the commander will get you where you're going.
Do they all travel in motherships?
No. Some of them don't use ships at all. You
Okay,
know,
explain that.
Okay. Motherships are essentially a technological monstrosity that carries a whole pile of little ships, scouts, drones, what do we call them? You know, your scanner ships, that sort of thing, all on one huge ship. I've seen them as big as Australia, which, needless to say, means you don't get to see the whole of the ship. Some of them are on literal transporters where they physically are transported from their world to ours, or more to the point, to a landing pad in proximity to ours. And yes, one of those landing pads is on the other side of the moon. And then you've got the ones that just plain don't require a ship at all to travel. And yeah, I know humans will have trouble with the idea of an entity flying through space to get to Earth. But we got to remember, not all races are humanoid. The bipedal form is actually a very unstable and very fragile little form. And there really aren't that many races that are, that are bipedal in configuration.
Okay. So, what do you mean by we're in the minority, as in not humans, but just creatures who are trying to use 2 legs, 2 arms?
Well, the majority of them are literally 4 or more legs. Okay. Or they've got essentially a pseudopod, which gives you 1 leg, but is extremely large and ripples to move you along. But they're a lot more stable that way. Like, you can't knock them on, they don't knock off balance well.
Okay.
No, bipedal forms, number one, they have to constantly adjust their footing. They can't just stand still. They have to constantly adjust their footing. And, you can break a limb and all of a sudden they're almost immobile. Which I don't recommend doing that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So when
No,
they
but
are
this is what I mean
traveling,
by the bipedal form is actually.
yeah, but when they are traveling here, are they actually going through wormholes, much what we would have seen in the television show Star Trek, or are they actually have they figured out how to travel faster than the speed of time to get here, or the speed of light, pardon me, to get here?
Well, they've definitely figured out how to travel faster than the speed of light, but the majority use a network of wormholes, either naturally forming ones or artificially created ones. And yes, they do have the technology to form a wormhole in front of them, essentially folding space.
Okay, and that's the theory that's actually goes along with that too, is they've been able
It
to
was actually
fold
described really
wormholes.
well in.
Go ahead, Keith.
Try that again. Yeah,
Go ahead with what you're saying.
when you fold space, that's what a wormhole is. Essentially they jump from one point in space to another. But we are talking about something that is not time travel. We are just talking about space. But they use something called the OTE drive, which, in technically English terms, is the oscillator densification of the tritransmutation equipolarity. Basically, they pick up on the shock wave that electrons create. Go ahead.
It's just interesting to me, how they're able to get here, and how they've learned this technology. Out of all the species that you know of that have traveled to Earth, I would like to know from you, if you don't mind, how many of them are as old as humanity, or are they well more advanced than humanity?
The majority are talking.
Okay, Keith, your signal is a little rough right now. So you're freezing on up. I know Keith has been having troubles with his computer this evening, so hopefully we'll get up. So Keith, now that you seem to be back up on your signal there, if you could re-answer that question, that would be great.
Which question?
Just in regards to the one I just asked you, regarding how many species are as old as humanity, or are they all much older?
Oh, the massive majority are, yeah. The that helps.
We didn't get any of that, Keith. We didn't get any of that. So
Yeah, I just opened the door to see if that helps with the signal.
yeah, thank you for that. So if we could give that question one more opportunity here, I'd appreciate that, Keith.
The massive majority are at least 1,000 years older than mankind. Yeah, I'm talking of the spacefaring ones.
Are all alien species within our universe, are they all space travelers?
No, not even close. It's a tiny percentage that are actually space travelers.
Like, I'm not talking little amoeba size. Okay, I'm not talking, like bugs like worms that could be on Mars or in the ground of Venus or anything like that. I'm saying alien species that like humans or greys or reptilians.
Yeah, no, I understood that's what you were referring to. I'm talking about ones that are anywhere. Now, the smallest of the ones I'm referring to are in the neighborhood of 6 to 8 inches. And we can't do much about that. But you're
No.
referring to technically advanced life forms.
Yes.
But yeah, the massive majority are at least 1,000 years older. This is why I say they've got better toys. But spiritually speaking, they really aren't that different from man.
Got a couple questions here for you, Keith. This one comes from Cindy. Have you seen the resurrection tubes that some abductees have seen?
Sure.
And what are the resurrection tubes? I've never heard of these.
The answer to the question is yes, I have. Okay, they actually work quite well, and you've actually seen them, Dave, though you don't know it. Do you remember the show, the series, Stargate?
Not really. Like, I remember the show.
Okay.
I just don't remember much to it.
Okay. They had in them these pods that you put a dead body in, and it would bring them back to life. These were developed by the Ennead. Okay, the Ennead are the people that showed up here that Egyptians looked to as gods.
Okay.
But yeah, they do work because you got to remember, dead according to what a human necessarily dead.
Okay, so how do the aliens know how to bring us back to life if they accidentally kill us? I mean, if we look at the Travis Walton story, he now believes that when he was hit with that beam of light, that he was actually killed. They brought him back on craft in order to revive him.
Oh yeah, and that's very much the way it went down. His interaction was very much a miscalculation. You know, the intention was certainly not to do him in. They just, at the time, the crew that ended up doing that were, to say the least, a little ill-trained. They've been trained for what they were doing, dealing with. What they hadn't been trained for was the curiosity of humans.
Okay.
His interaction was very much an accidental one.
Okay. So, but my question is, how did they know how to bring him back to life? If maybe maybe they haven't worked with humans before or studied humans. We don't know.
Uh, well, they've actually
Sorry,
been doing this.
sorry, Keith. We you were kind of cutting out there on your signal.
They have been here, the off-worlders, and especially the ones that took Travis, have been here since the Egyptians. So we're looking at 7,000 years minimum. Many of them have been here. Well, the Anunnaki. This is just.
Okay, Keith, you've frozen up again. We're going to have to try and fix this during the break, as we have about 2 minutes to go before we need to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We also have to remember, too, that there's major solar flares going on outside as we speak, which could be affecting Keith's signal as well. So, yeah. Now, the Northern Lights haven't hit the studio yet. I'm waiting for that to happen. But yeah, it's a major solar flare going on.
Oh, that
So
would play havoc.
yeah. Yeah. So we're trying here, Keith. We're gonna get through this.
Yeah.
Not a problem. All right. Not a problem. But
Well, I won't go so far as to say not a problem, but I'll go with it. I'm not walking away. I said I'd be here, so you know.
well, I do appreciate you that you are going to go the distance with us tonight on the show. So that'll be really cool to have you all night long. And it's been a while since we did one of those with you, Keith.
Yeah, I seem to 4 hours quite regularly.
Yeah. Remember the old days? Remember the old days, bud, when we did that? But we got about a minute to go here. Let's get to another quick question here. This one from Travis. Why do you think the Grays love you so much, Keith? Did you hear that question?
Well, more to the point, I thought. The one from Travis?
Yes.
Yeah, fortunately, you're posting them. I honestly don't know. I can't figure out why anybody likes me. I think about the biggest reason would be because of the fact I don't see them as any different than anybody else, than the way I see anybody else. And thereby, I don't treat them any differently.
Mm-hmm. I see that. Keith, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour on Spaced Out Radio. And we always enjoy the time we have with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection. We're going to continue with more audience questions when we return on Spaced Out Radio, because that's what we do with our good friend R Keith Andrews and his final appearance of 2023 here on Spaced Out Radio. We will be right back on the mighty SOR. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. All right, we're clear, buddy. We gotta
Okay.
trying to figure out your signal thing here. Hi, Paul Demon. How you doing? Light Walkers. Algaray over on Twitch. Nice to see you, my man. And I think we are caught up human-wise. And Aussie Rob over on Facebook. How's your 1.5 ham hocks? Just making sure you're okay, buddy. All right.
Give me 5 seconds there.
Yep.
Knock, knock. Just had to let the munchkin know that I've got the door open.
Yeah. Hi, Rain. How are you? Wonderful. We're going to get prosthetic ham hocks. I got to figure out something for you, Aussie Rob. I know you're laughing right now. Paul Housen, you are more than welcome to hang out in the chat room, but we do not preach in this chat room, okay? This is about enjoying the woo and allowing everybody to get a night off. So if you continue to post the posts that you are doing right now, they will be deleted. I have zero tolerance for anything other than having fun in our chat room. Okay, you're allowed to disagree, but no preaching in our chat room. Thank you. Hi, Ukrainian Anita. How are you? Warden Dragon, thank you for coming on in. And let's see here. Who else do we have? No, Travis W. is Travis William Mustus. He's a big fan of ours, Keith. I've had him on his a few times. He's just wonderful.
Done.
Celestial Streams. No, that is not me, but thank you. I did pay like 20 grand for this voice. So it works. Hello, Nikolai. All right. Want to remind everybody. Yeah, Paul Housen. Bye-bye. We're not denying Jesus. So do me a favor. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, okay? We play by my rules, not your rules. So if you're more than welcome to stay. We'd love to have you stay, okay? But you got to play by my rules, okay? This isn't a democracy in a chat room. This is a Davocracy, and everybody's here to have fun. Everybody's equal. So you can chill out or bye-bye. I love people who try and tell me how my chat room is going to work.
That works well, does it?
Yeah. I always wonder how that works. You know? But
well, it's like I've told people, if they want to discuss that topic, get me on their chat room, on their chat line. I won't discuss it on mine. I don't think you've got much use for it.
Well, you know what? When I have so many races, creeds, religions, sexualities, government, people who, not government people, but people who have different views of government, it's hard to keep it all together at once, and we do a good job with it. No, Paul Demon, let's not start that crap, okay? Let's not start saying shit like that. That doesn't work here. Okay, equal until Dave disagrees. No, that's not how it works here.
That's never been how it works.
Yeah. See, what some people try and do is give you that aha gotcha moment. And that's what he's pulling right now. So thank you, RG and Raven, for the super chats. Okay. And we go from there. Sorry, I don't have much sense of humor tonight. I'll try and loosen up a bit here. Here we go, the second half hour. Hi, Wolverine. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. All right, we continue on with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection going on right now, and Keith is a lifelong experiencer hanging on to the dream of aliens coming out and saying, yoo-hoo, we are here. Keith, welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me, and thanks so much for the people that are joining us.
You got that right. All right, let's continue on with some audience questions here. AZ Watts wants to know, is Earth-type biology rare or common in the universe?
Well, if we're talking carbon-based, it's technically rare, but no more rare than silicon-based. The reality is that life is all over the place in all kinds of different forms. The rarity is for humans to actually accept the fact that that life forms don't have to look like humans. I mean, you take a look at the Udina, they're a cephalopod, meaning they've got 7 limbs.
Okay, so
people have this. Go ahead.
With all the planets that are in our universe, how many of them are teamed with life?
I have no way of giving you even a rough estimate on that. My own guess, if you will, would be probably close to 50% of them, but not necessarily as life as humans know it. If you're talking advanced forms and complex life forms, such as human or more complex, they're very rare.
Like, I can't see anything living on Jupiter, considering we don't even know if there's land there. It's a gaseous planet.
Yeah, and yet I know there's life there. It just is not humanoid.
Okay, are they mostly out in the stars?
Are they which?
Are they mostly out in the stars?
Well, technically, yeah, because there's a lot more stars than there are planets in the Sol system. But, I mean, we have life that is recognizable to humans on Earth, Vulcan, on Mars, on the Moon, on Io, on Venus, on Neptune. Okay. I'm not sure if they've got it on Mercury. As a matter of fact, that's not correct. I do know they have it on Mercury and on Pluto. Although, in all fairness, those ones aren't likely to be recognized by humans. See, when you go to a planet like Mercury, you're looking at elementals. as in living magma or living vapor. And yes, they still have sentience.
Sounds good. Let's go to another question here. Let's go to Travis. Question for Dave. You pick gray alien television or Pleiadian beach volleyball? Pleiadian beach volleyball each and every time, my friend. Yep. The grays just, I don't think they could jump that high and not knock their heads together. Let's go to Super Crazy. Do aliens have music in movies that you've heard and seen? What do you think of them?
The answer is yes. You name the entertainment. Off-worlders have a similar array to what humans do, just different forms. You know, so I have the same opinion of them that I do of most movies that humans put out. Most of them, like I prefer watching action movies. You know, and the idea, the big difference between alien invasion movies on Earth and alien invasion movies on another planet is usually the movie is shot from the perspective of the alien invaders, or what they call colonization. But I've always held if you're colonizing a planet that's already occupied, you're invading it. You know, that would be
Okay.
the big thing there.
Okay. Let's
You
get
know,
to
as for
another
music,
question. I'll go for the
absolutely.
musical. Go for the music one. You wanted to
Well,
answer that.
music, from my standpoint, if it's got words, I have to be able to understand them. Not necessarily the actual language, but at least what the word is. If it doesn't have words, just keep it quiet enough that I can actually carry on a conversation with it playing in the background.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
think
can
of it
see
this
that.
way. You know, if you're listening to a song that is written that the Spaniard writes, you know, and sings, if you don't speak Spanish, you're going to hear the song, you're going to hear the beat, and you're either going to like the rhythm or you're not. Well, that was
Let's get to another question. Let's get to another question here. Let's go
absolutely.
to Brown Dwarf. Keith, do you know of any jellyfish type ETs or craft?
Yes. Now I'd call it up. I do have one listed that I've already got. Listed in the second volume. Okay, that literally look like jellyfish. I just don't remember the name of it offhand. The problem we've been having with computers running around looking for it while we're on air is not a great idea. However, if you drop me a line, I'll be more than happy to give you the information. You know, after the show.
No problem. Let's go to another question here. Let's go to Wayne. I'm curious about these wormholes traveling aliens. Can you go into a little bit more detail about that, Keith?
Yeah, a wormhole boils down to manipulating the space, the fabric of space itself, to be able to basically create a hole where you take 2 points in space, fold them together, and step through. Ultimately, that's what it boils down to. If people watch the original Star Trek or Stargate, either way, you'll see the same kind of light show, if you will. But that's because of what you're passing through or by. But it literally boils down to a subquantum magnetic pulse that they use to open the hole, to align the tunnel.
Okay, let's move on. Cindy wants to know, Keith, is the life around stars like our sun different from red dwarfs, etc.?
In configuration, the answer would be yes. But the basic principle behind it, as in, do they have civilizations with cities, with large community unification centers? Yeah, they're built the same way. They just use different materials and different comprehension of physics than what humans use. The reality is, though, that the laws of physics, doesn't matter if we're talking about around a red dwarf, a red star, yellow one, or a blue one. The laws of physics are still the same. Just humans don't understand them. But
Why do we
ultimately,
why do we have a tough time understanding them?
In a nutshell, ego. See, humans are only working with, if I recall the periodic table at this point, 115 elements, 115. I have seen a periodic table of elements on another planet with 250. But humans have convinced themselves if they cannot see it, it's not real. And yet they believe in God, which is an interesting setup. And don't get me wrong, so do I.
All right, let's
But that
continue on.
ultimately is absolutely.
Okay, let us go over to Thomas. What is the most intelligent life form that you know of?
That's the easy one. God. Thing you got to realize is he's not the top of the totem pole. And yeah, I know we don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, quite literally, I've dealt with him head on, as in face to face. Well, we'll call it face to face. But realize that is literally a figure of speech in this case.
I get you. All right, let's go to Dirt Road. What can you tell us about current and future solar storms? Do aliens come to watch?
Absolutely. Absolutely they do, but they do not cause them. But the storms are getting stronger, which is going to create some real interesting situations inside the next decade. Which, by the way, does mean what we're working on here, the humans better do some real quick upgrading, and buffering for handling the magnetic pulse, the solar storms, or we're going to lose a lot of data and functionality of the electronic world.
But it is a beautiful show, though.
Oh, it is. I mean, I was absolutely amazed when I was a child. I was still living on Vancouver Island, and I had the pleasure of hearing the Aurora Borealis. Now, I'm pretty certain you've heard it living where you do.
I've never heard it. Seen it.
You've never heard it?
I've never heard it. It's like a light thunder, I believe.
To me, it sounded more, quite frankly, I mean, yeah, light thunder in the background, but it sounded more like harps. It's just an amazing sound. I don't know if there's a recording of it anywhere. I was outside on the coast when it happened. But you got to remember, the reason the aliens are here regarding the storms is to watch the xenosocioeconomic evolution that is modified by humans' interaction with the solar storms and how they're going to deal with it. You know, because let's face it, this is a very exciting time for mankind. And for everybody else, for that matter.
Let's move on here, my friend. So we got about 8 minutes before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Darth Maylock is asking, Keith, do you have a favorite book about the UFO and alien topic? Is there one that stands out above all others? Myself, I like Richard Dolan and Leo Stringfield's, Dolan's and Stringfield's books.
I haven't looked at Stringfield's. I've actually sat down and talked to Richard Dolan, but for me, bar none, has always been Close Encounters of the Third Kind by, I believe, Steven Spielberg wrote it.
Very picturesque too.
Extremely. But that would have to be, if I were to pick a favorite, that would have to be it.
Yeah, mine would be Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and then Flight of the Navigator. Those are my two.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever actually watched Flight of the Navigator. I know for certainty I haven't read it.
Yeah, it's a Disney movie that came out in 1986, about a young boy who was abducted, came back 8 years later, and was basically shown how to fly the craft. It's a very powerful movie. But
You know
the one thing about these movies, Keith, whether it's Flight of the Navigator or Close Encounters of the Third Kind and many others, it's amazing how so long ago they were so accurate as to what we are dealing with in specifics today about learning about this phenomena.
Oh, I agree. The knowledge base and the claimed knowledge base is absolutely staggering, the way it's collapsed over the years.
Yeah. I mean, what's your favorite part of Close Encounters?
Where they actually show the Zeta Reticulans and the Zeta Reticulan D right at the end of the show. Where they've actually got them coming down to collect up. I think it's Richard Dreyfuss as the actor.
Yes.
In fact, I remember his name. Might give you an idea of whether or not I enjoyed the movie.
Next question for you, Keith. We've got 5 minutes. Dirt Road is asking, what can you do? We asked that one already. Let's go to Mr. Cowley. Where do you get your information from?
First-hand experience. I do not research. Yeah, and I know that sounds like science fiction, but that's literally where it comes from. I've had enough corroborating experience where people have said that I've vanished on them, only to show up several hours later, right? With added information that I didn't have before, that later got corroborated by other actual researchers. But I personally don't research anything.
Is that because you want the aliens to tell their story?
In all fairness, from my standpoint, it's because I'm lazy. I find too much of the information when you go searching the net. Too much of what is told out there contradicts what I know personally from firsthand experience, and I don't have the interest in trying to sort out what's being fabricated and what's not. And yes, that does include some of the best known researchers around, and no, I'm not going to name them. Before anybody gets onto that kind of idea.
Right. Okay. Let's continue on here. Let's see if we got time for a few more questions for Keith. Let's go to Corey Cole. Do aliens have combat sports or gladiator type events?
Absolutely. They're just not nearly so polite as they are here. I've literally watched events where they will quite seriously physically tear the arms off their opponent and eat what's left. Yes, that sounds gross.
Yeah, kind of. Who wants to get beaten by their own arm? Just saying.
Yeah, I'm not overly fond of it myself.
No.
But no, yeah, they definitely have sports, sports and combat.
Okay. All right, Keith, we got about 2 minutes to go here before we got to go to break. At the top of the hour, R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection are with us here tonight. And let us go to Tricia. What do you think the plans for Earthlings will be moving forward from 2024 to 2030?
Well, and I'll keep this one short because it gets complicated. If man does not start realizing pretty quick that you're all the same species, you're looking at least 4 civil wars sometime within the next 10 years. Okay. And never mind the global wars, never mind the fighting with other countries. I'm talking about ones that are brewing up inside countries. Now, if they can turn that around, then we can actually see society actually pick up its pace and end some of the complications. But it's going to require getting the message to the people that we've been electing into control positions or hiring into control positions, however the case may be, and get them thinking in terms of what is actually possible instead of what greed tells us. This is why the next 5 to 10 years, mankind is on a very critical cusp. You're either going to pull your hands together and start getting along, or you're going to bomb yourselves back to the Stone Age. And I will tell you, the solar flares that we're suffering from are being amplified by the negativity being generated on Earth. It's drawing it to them.
I can see that. All right, Keith, we got about 39 seconds here before we got to go to break here, and I'm just gonna keep you on here because there's no point asking another question until we get back from the break, because we don't want to cut anybody's answers off that you might have answers to. But so far, so good. Great questions from our audience. If you're in our YouTube chat, you're more than welcome to come and ask yourself a question for Keith. And I know Keith would love to answer it, because that's what we do every time we have him on here on the ET Connection, which happens near the beginning of each month. Yeah, hard to believe. In December already. I'm not even seeing snow yet. And yet, Christmas is right around the corner.
We got our first gift today.
Yeah. R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection continues on Spaced Out Radio with Hour 2 next. Stay tuned. All right, Keith, we're clear.
Okie doke. Yeah, did you
I'm
catch Cindy Pruitt asked a question in the chat room?
Hold on, let me check. Yeah, I got it,
Wanted
Keith.
to know if she could plug her own YouTube channel. Yeah, it's only up about 6 or 7 lines at this point.
Oh, that was Bad Daddy.
Okay.
Bad Daddy. Bad Daddy. Bad Daddy. Bad Daddy. Okay, I'll be right back, Keith.
Okie doke. Sorry, guys. Kind of got catching up with some of what I had to write there. If it, like I said, if like I just typed in the chat room, if you've got a question that doesn't get asked, absolutely drop Dave a line, get him to get you my contact info, because the reality is I haven't posted in this room. Okay, but absolutely drop me a line. I'm not that hard to find, and I will do my best to answer. You know, I gotta say, I'm really amazed at the amount of people that are in this room. I don't know the numbers because that's not what I've got here. I can certainly tell you what they are when I'm in my stream. But it was kind of neat. I got corroboration today that my effect on computers is not just my imagination; it's very real. And welcome back, Dave.
Yeah, no Northern Lights here, man. We got clouds.
Yeah, they're not always visible from everywhere. Let's face it. Thankfully, they're not visible from everywhere at once.
Hello, the gorgeous and talented Kira. Hello, Stephanie Jackson. Oh, hey, Clam. Who else do we have here? All right. Paul Perez, how you doing? And who else has joined in? All right. Got that question. I'm just grabbing questions here, Keith.
Yeah, I kind of figured it might be. By the way, I did tell them if they get a question that we don't get answered, told them to give you a buzz and then they can drop me a line.
Yes. Paisley Parker, how are you? All right, we got 10 seconds. Thank you to Joanne, Darth, Chris, Raven, and Random Guy for the super chats tonight. Hi, Sensational Sherry, and one for that movement. Welcome to SOR Chat.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Kinesics. Kinesics is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. We continue on with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection here on the mighty SOR, where Keith comes in near the beginning of each month to talk about everything extraterrestrial. He's a lifelong experiencer who takes those experiences and helps you understand what's going on in the alien world. Keith, welcome back.
Well, thank you very much for having me. And thanks so much for the audience for joining us.
Yeah, they're kind of cool.
The questions have just been phenomenal.
Absolutely. Let's go to our attorney at large, Michael Morris, who is asking, are there any superhuman aliens out there reminiscent of Superman, for example?
In a manner of speaking, yes, but not the way that, like, Superman is very much an elaborated extrapolation. There are people that are humanoid and very capable of phenomenal, compared to humans, phenomenal feats of strength, speed, and dexterity, not to mention mental abilities that far exceed what humans are capable of. But that I'm aware of, I don't recall seeing anybody that shoots laser beams out of their eyes. Ascetic breath, absolutely I've seen. Thankfully, haven't experienced. I'd prefer to keep it that way.
Excellent. Okay, let's go with another question here from NHI. Is the Galactic Federation democratic or autocratic?
Well, not knowing the definition of autocratic, I've got a little bit of a hiccup on that. But I'd be inclined to say democratic. because of the fact that they are elected from amongst everybody else, like amongst everybody. I just don't know what autocratic is, to be frank.
Let's move on to the next one. Let's go to Trisha. I keep hearing of a 4-year ultimatum that the off-worlders gave our government. Any truth to this?
I'm curious if the person that gave it to you would like a shovel or if a backhoe is more appropriate. The off-worlders have no interest in taking over, invading, occupying, enslaving, obliterating Earth in any way. That's just not part of their outlook. That would seem to be fear-mongering at its finest.
The 4 years that I have heard is not put on by the aliens themselves. It's the government who keeps pushing back the date on when they want to give out more information. So that way they are not rushed into a forced disclosure or a false confirmation. They want to be able to have time in order to figure out how they can get out of this looking good while still giving up the goods that there is life out there. That's what I've heard. Let's go to Super Crazy. What is Bigfoot exactly? Did an alien species create them? If so, which species?
Well, Dave and I are in extreme disagreement on this. But from my standpoint, it's pretty black and white. The elephant race building actually accelerated the chimpanzee DNA. The Bigfoot of today is your Gigantopithecus of about 2 million years ago, I think. But Dave will tell you they are extra dimensional, and he and I simply agree, at least unless I misunderstood it. We just simply agree to disagree.
Yes, we will agree to disagree on that. I still think there's something a little bit more supernatural with these Sasquatch.
And that's why we just go with, yep.
Yeah, all right, let's go back to Sydney.
Uh-oh.
Keith, are we in an ancestor simulation?
No. What you've got is real life.
What do you mean by that?
Well, a simulation indicates that this is complete fabrication. And this, from everything I've witnessed, this is not a fabrication. It's annoying as all get out, but this is reality at its finest, so to speak. You know, it's not like we're caught in some sort of a time loop and going through the same thing over and over again. Okay, it probably seems that way because humans are not actually paying attention to what they're doing. You know, they're repeating the same mistakes over and over.
I can see that.
You know, that ultimately is what I'm looking at there.
Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Go ahead.
Let us go over to, who are we looking at here now? D. Cohen. Are we able to work on other planets? Nope, I did not freeze. Are we able to work on other planets? If so, where can I sign up? Keith?
Try that again.
D. Cohen wants to know, are we able to work on other planets? If so, where could I sign up? Okay.
Well, the answer is yes. Yeah, the answer is yes. Humans can work on other planets. I am not the one that knows how they go about that. But keep poking around. People do get taken on a regular basis and put to work, not from a slavery standpoint. I wouldn't bet on getting paid what you call cash, but the experience is absolutely well worth it. And I know Dave's right in the front of the line, waiting to take his whole family to go and have a working vacation.
Maybe. Okay, let's continue on.
I do not believe the drag time on this.
That's okay, Keith. We got a radio show to go here. We're not worried about YouTube. Let's go to Jenny. Keith, did space beings along with Source create human beings? And Keith is frozen up. Oh, there he comes. Are you with us, Keith?
Well, I got none of that.
And we're going to get Keith back in here momentarily because he's having some computer issues due to the solar flares going on. And even looking at myself on YouTube right now, I know our radio audience can't hear us. But with that, what I can say is that I'm looking a little blurry. Yeah. Maybe I got that Sasquatch thing going on where everything's blurry. Keith, welcome back. All right. Jenny is asking, did space beings along with Source create human beings?
I'm a little blurry.
Did you hear the question?
In all fairness, yeah, I got the question. Number one, it was actually corporeals that accelerated the DNA to have humans evolve, but it was done at the guidance of what you would call Source or God. But humans can have started right here on Earth. Holy
all right.
Shit.
Yeah. Okay, Keith, let's go to Stephanie, who is asking, have you heard of any stories about the little people?
Again, it would seem.
Keith, we are on a radio show here. We're not worried about the YouTube cameras here. Okay? That's secondary. Let's go to any stories about little people, Keith.
Okay. Yeah. Number one, in Ireland, they've got the people they call little people, which would be your leprechauns, what humans call leprechauns. And I believe that is the Ituari, if I remember the name correctly. This is why I keep this thing handy, so I can remember my own name, never mind theirs. Where are we here? Yep, I was right. The Ituari is actually not an alien race. They evolved here, but they are amongst the Fae, helping take care of this planet. You know, there was also a story written years ago, and I don't know who the author was. A story called The Borrowers, and these little people are very real. They're just very tiny. As in, the tall ones are like an inch and a half tall. And yeah, they do very much look like people, but they'll never pass for a human. Something about the height. But there's lots of stories of woodland beings that we know, that people know as leprechauns, as dwarves, as brownies, as sprites. They're very real entities. They're just not off-worlders. You know, they're ones that evolved here.
Excellent. Okay, let's move on to another question. This one from Cindy. Why do the human type aliens like to go to coffee shops? Really?
I was thinking the same thing. They don't always. I know the Martokians go to Dairy Queen, but they go there because they like the ice cream. As far as the coffee shop scenario, it's very simple. It is an unassuming social environment where they can unobtrusively interact with humans. If they can at least sort of pass as human, they can gain that kind of an experience. It's kind of like going to a petting zoo. You know, one where the animals talk.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I hear you there. Okay, let's continue on here, my friend, and see what else we got for you. Let's go to NHI. Keith, can you tell us more about the Galactic Federation? What do they do? What are they up to? How do they vote? What do they choose to vote on?
Well, the long and the short of it is it's known by a number of names clearly because I was introduced to it as Galactic Consortium. But what they do is they govern the interaction of all the different races with each other, ensuring that nobody tries to conquer a race and conquer a planet that is not already advanced. And the ones that are advanced, they're just flat out not allowed to take over because the streamlined doctrine, they're streamlined, if you will, what do you call it here? Prime directive is it must govern themselves. They must be governed by the most advanced, most technologically advanced surface dwelling race on the planet. Those are the caretakers. And the consortium itself simply goes, no, you cannot do that. All member planets of the consortium, all member races, must adhere to consortium law. On their own world, they make up their own laws, and they are adhered to. Their prime directive, if you will, is to ensure that every race has its own autonomy, that it is true, and that it is able to evolve itself. You know, so much as in some cultures, slavery is absolutely permitted. They are not permitted to just go and start kidnapping lower life forms. I.e., you can't go off and kidnap humans and take them back to a mining camp and go, oh, you're now labor. Now of course, if they can get a hold of a dwarven chieftain and they want to tell him, hey, we got a new set of rock we want you to mine, the odds are you'll have to fight to keep them out of the ship, especially fermented food and drink.
Gotcha.
But the consortium is literally, it's, go ahead, because we could go way down a rabbit hole there.
We'll go through that rabbit hole. That's why we bring you the woo, man.
Okay. The consortium itself has a council of 12. Okay, now this is not the same council of 12 that we talked about at times, but their council is comprised of 12 people. They've always got 3 sets of counselors ready to go. In the primary council, they have only one member of any given race. Is a member of the governing council. The backup councils are in case the person that comes to the council for mediation is a member of one of the councilmen on the panel. Okay, then that particular councilman will step down and another will step into place. So they've always got the 12.
All right, let's continue on. As Keith is frozen up again here. We're going to try something here at the bottom of the hour, see if we get a little bit clearer signal with him. Because he does bring some great stuff to the table. Keith, we got 4 minutes to go here before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. And let's get to your question here from Rat. How do you handle the ridicule and hate that you may get for what you say?
Oh, I ignore it. Quite literally, I've reached a point in my life, and I reached it a long time ago. I can explain things to people. I cannot understand them. I cannot understand it for people. But I've always been an outsider amongst outsiders. So I just ended up becoming very reclusive. I just came to the point where people will call me something. I'll look at them and go, "Do you feel better?" Of course, they're like, "What?" It's like, well, the way you're treating me doesn't help me any, so I'm hoping it's doing something for you. I just don't take it to heart anymore, because there's no way that anybody, and I could explain the ins and outs of it, but there's no way that standard people are going to be able to understand the way I think anyway. It's just physically not possible. I do my best not to put my foot in my mouth. I fail at it miserably most of the time. But I really don't take it to heart when somebody tells me what I'm talking about is nuts. Like my own little brother told me, he says, "Look, I don't think you're crazy, but the way you talk makes you sound like you're crazy." Problem is, give it 20, 30 years, you'll get.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
But ultimately,
right.
That's how.
Yes. All right, Keith, let us go to our next question here from Terry. We got 2 minutes to go here. Do any of the aliens believe in Santa Claus? Come on. Let's have some fun here, man. What's wrong with Santa Claus? Santa Claus is real.
Very much. And the short answer is many of the have adopted that. Something about he wasn't there, but many of the ones that are now local, okay, definitely do and carry on that kind of a tradition.
I still love Santa Claus. I still think he's out there somewhere.
Oh, so do I. Well, I can't exactly tell you where, but I can tell you they track him. And yes, we do actually watch that occur. As a matter of fact, we're going to have to fire that system up again. My boys still watch his journey around the planet. But yeah, many of the now local off-worlders do follow that tradition and do participate in it for as much as they can.
Good. I still follow it too, and I still am a huge Santa fan. That's for sure. I kind of like it. I really do. I really, really do. Keith, can I get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We have R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection for another hour here. Actually, an hour and a half. He's going the distance on the show tonight. We're going to hope for a better signal in this next half hour. We're going to try out, see if the solar flares, we're going to continue to screw this show up. Hopefully not. Spaced Out Radio, through solar flares, windstorms, snowstorms, we're always here on the mighty SO. Ant-Man, how you doing? It's amazing. Every time we go to commercial, you clear right up.
Well, somebody said early on that the powers that be don't want me talking. I just look at it going, I work with what I got, but I did get corroboration from a whole lot of strangers in class today. The computers and I do not work the same way as they do for everybody else, even in a classroom setting.
I need a favor from you. Okay, I need you to remember that we're just not a YouTube channel. Okay,
Fine.
and so like the radio audience, when you're talking about freezing up and blurring it, they don't understand that. So I just need you to remember that, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks for the reminder.
Let's try something else out here, Keith. See if we could get a little bit better signal. I want you to turn your camera off.
Okay, where am I here? Okay, see if that helps. I just shut it off.
Yeah. Because a lot of times what happens when the stream is being affected, there's too much being pushed out on the computer at the same time. So,
right.
Let's give this a try for right now. You should still be able to see the audience questions and everything. But F you, Eddie. There we go. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, they're up on my, because I've got the other screen up anyway.
Yeah.
Although in this case, you froze.
Yeah, that's because I'm standing still.
I'm just going to go grab a refill of my coffee.
Okay, buddy. Ow. Ow. Yeah, I think we're going to be better now audio-wise. I apologize about the video tonight. Yeah, it's pretty flat right now. T Parks, how you doing? I don't wear a lot of red, but I really like red. Not yet. I'll find out next week.
Okay, I'm back.
Good. We're glad to have you here. We got about 90 seconds.
Okay, doke. I don't recall the last time we had this much trouble with stream.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think everybody's pretty right on the solar flare aspect.
Yeah.
Big thank you tonight to RG, Raven, Chris, Darth, and Joanne for the super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support. And What else can we tell you here? Let's see here. Thanks, Doug Shelby. Here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon at the SOR Space Travelers Club. We continue on with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection tonight, talking all things extraterrestrial and more. Keith, thank you so much for being here with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's hard to believe it's been 10 years, mind you.
I know. I get that. Yeah, I can't believe
how
we've started.
Have you tolerated me that long?
How have I tolerated you? Because you're one of the best dudes ever. You're one of the best dudes ever. Let's go to NHI. Do you have a symbol or flag or an icon that represents the Galactic Federation?
No, at this point I don't, but it is something I figure I should probably talk to them about. They don't technically have one, because not the way that we have them. It's not like they have they fly a piece of cloth around. But it's one of those things I really should have thought about and seen what I could do, because I knew it was going to come up sooner or later.
All right, let's move on. Wayne would like to know, are the aliens going to reveal themselves in 2027?
They already did. About 20 years ago, so the answer to the question would be, I wouldn't hold my breath. The stats from about 20 years ago said that approximately, and I'm just taking the state stats as a global, approximately 62% of people at that point believed that aliens were real and were already here. There's your disclosure. It's gotten more so since then. I do not like that word, but that's beside the point. But if you're asking, are they going to show up over New York, over Grand Central Station in New York, or over the Pentagon, or over some major event and go, hey guys, we're here, take a look. Here's pictures, here's videos, so we can scare the daylights out of you and totally destroy your civilization. No, not going to happen. Okay, they've got this thing about letting mankind actually evolve. So no, I would not be holding my breath waiting for it. I don't know what the governments are up to. I don't think the governments know what the governments are up to. But I do know the consortium itself has no interest in completely disrupting life. They're here as observers and to protect the planet, not humans.
All right, let's move on here, bud. Let's go to Super Crazy. Have you been in contact with alien species outside of our galaxy or just inside our own galaxy?
No, I've been to ones from different galaxies altogether. And rest assured, wormhole travel is a rush. It's an absolute riot. Matter relocation is another issue altogether.
Is there a
But
difference
that takes
between, is there a difference between aliens from our galaxy and from outside?
That depends. I mean, there's certainly a difference, but the real difference comes when you're taking planets from a yellow star and aliens from a yellow star and aliens from a red star. This sort of thing. That's where your big differences come in. But the reality is, most of the ones we get here that actually show up here without protective gear come from yellow stars. Come from the young stars, because you take a look at purebred Pleiadians. They get on Earth. The atmosphere of Earth will just outright kill them. This is why you'll never see a purebred Pleiadian on Earth.
Interesting.
But ultimately, they're the same type of people. No problem.
Second follow-up from Super Crazy. Do aliens know what happens to us after we die?
Some of them. Most of them don't even know what happens to them after they die. There are individuals that can tell you, but on the whole, the answer is no.
Are they God-fearing as well? Or source-fearing,
Honestly,
whatever it may be?
some of them are. But most of them that actually believe in the God that I came to believe in don't fear him at all. I always find it fascinating when people say they fear God. I've never understood why. But do they believe in God? Oftentimes by a different name, yes. Okay, but you got to remember, they also happen to speak different languages, so a different name stands to reason.
Right. All right, let's move on here, Keith. Let's go to Travis. Keith, your thoughts on intelligent giant squid?
Also known as Udina. Yeah, they exist. Now, I will tell you, the Kraken on Earth, which are your 60-foot squids on Earth, have a brain capacity that is something phenomenal. I don't know if the scientists have figured this out yet, but the Udina is a cephalopod, as in they have 7 tentacles, not 8. Okay. But are there such things as intelligent giant squids? Yeah, absolutely there are. And quite seriously, they have similar problems to what mankind has. As in, they still have the social differences. They still have political upheaval and what have you. But they just look a little different. And have different tools and what have you. Thing we gotta remember is that not all intelligent life looks humanoid. Neither is it all bipedal.
I get that. That I do get. Okay, let's move on here. Let's grab another question from our audience. And let's go over to Cindy. Who are the Nordic type aliens that Admiral Byrd saw that had the swastika looking symbols?
In all fairness, my suspicion is that they're still Nordic. They likely took the swastika from Earth. And I'm still trying. I came across the name a long time ago, and I keep running into a problem trying to track it down. There is a name that I've got hidden somewhere in my notes of what the Nords themselves and what the Nords call themselves. But do I know exactly who they are? No. But what I can tell you is their behavior, unlike on Earth, their behavior isn't tolerated at all. Difference is on Earth, you have to be, congenial, as it were. Elsewhere, you take that kind of prejudice, and it gets dealt with pretty summarily. You remember the gladiator arena that we were talking about earlier?
Yes.
They're
Yes.
prime candidates.
Awesome.
People with that kind of prejudice are prime candidates. But let's be clear about one little detail. That whole thought process had a certain amount of intellectual cohesion to it. Do not get me wrong, I don't agree with the method at all. But there are parts of it that actually made sense. But prejudice is still not even functionally tolerated. Although on the plus side, well, I don't know if it's a plus side, they don't actually beat up people that are prejudiced. They just terminate them. It's a little bit more, shall we say, a little bit more of a deterrent.
All right, let's move on to the next question. Let us go over to JBD. Do the aliens have a sense of humor? And if yes, can you give an example, please?
Heck, I can't give an example of human humor. But the answer is yes. They have their own sense of humor. The unfortunate part is, and it's not a question of trying to avoid the question. It's a question of, I don't understand human humor. Not on the whole.
I can see that. But at some point, do you not have to? At some point, though, is there another species out there that's similar to us that does find things funny or humorous?
Oh, absolutely. The Mobians. The Mobians have a very similar sense of humor and perspective on life, excluding the jealousy, the greed, and the wastefulness. If we take those qualities out, they're absolutely like humans. Well, in all fairness, they were human before they moved to Mobius, and now we call them Mobians. But 40 and 50,000 years ago, they colonized Mobius. The ones that were left, and it was only a small group of them comparatively that left. Like, only, as near as I understand it, only about 1 billion of them headed over there. 1 billion, maybe 1.5 billion sort of thing. Went and colonized Mobius because it wasn't inhabited at that point. It had life, but that was where it ended. And besides that, they weren't part of the consortium at that point.
Right. Okay, let's move on to Pixie Lara, who's asking, Keith, of the ancient Egyptian pantheon, how many were of extraterrestrial races and which ones? And what of other so described deities?
I cannot give you a number, but I can tell you the Ennead are the ones you're referring to. And essentially the entire Egyptian pantheon were Ennead. They came here before the consortium got into the area, settled in, and humans at the time, the locals looked at them and went, "Oh, you're gods." And the Ennead stood there going, okay, so what does that mean to us? So these guys, the humans were bowing down before them and handing them all kinds of praise. And the Ennead just stepped back and went, okay, we're gods. This is a good life. We're just going to stay here. Then the consortium showed up in town on a temporary foray, looked at the Ennead and went, guys, you're not gods. Get off the planet. Hence, the Egyptian gods faded essentially overnight. The same thing happened with the Nordic, the Greek, and the Roman gods. They were essentially evicted in the same fashion when the consortium got to the area. But I have no way of giving you a count on how many of the Ennead were here.
All right, continuing on here, R Keith Andrews and the ET connection. Let us go over to Operation Shutdown, who is asking, are the majority of aliens telepathic?
Absolutely not. The massive majority of them have a language, be it auditory or semaphoric. I think that's the word you'd use. Maybe that's a new word.
Yes.
They either use vocals, sense, sign language, sometimes, so it'd be olfactory. High-pitched noises like the Uka aren't telepathic, but they speak in very high-pitched tones. But not many of the off-worlders, or for that matter of the ancient races, are actually telepathic.
Right. I would consider the Greys to be telepathic.
They're actually not. They are very good. They are somewhat empathic, but more of that is from scientific observation. They're extremely analytical, especially when you're looking at the Zeta Reticulans. Now, the Delta Reticulans and the Reta Reticulans, who happen to be reticulan anyway, are somewhat more gifted in the aspect of picking up emanations. But that's because of what they've been trained with. See, every human can be taught to be telepathic. So can every one of the Zeta Reticulans. It's a function of the brain that you simply have to be willing to utilize. And much more importantly, you have to be willing to accept it's possible.
All right, Keith, let's move on. Let's go to JBD. Do they have any social structures, such as families, similar to humans?
Many of them, yes. We'll use the term similar a little loosely because some of them are just like humans, as in you've got a mother, a father, and whatever the kids are. Some are more clan-oriented, where it's a community raising the youngsters. In many reptilian cases, nobody knows who the actual parents are without extensive DNA testing, because they all get laid in eggs and put into hatcheries. And then it's a whole process of how to keep the eggs rolled over so they hatch healthy. But very few of them actually know who their parents were.
Right. Very understanding. Thank you, Keith. All right, let's continue on.
One exception to that would be the Chitauri. Yeah.
Here comes Darth. Keith, any discussions with the aliens about us being in another timeline or dimensional? All thanks to the CERN Institute messing with stuff they really shouldn't be messing with?
Discussions about yes, but everything, and it's been pretty much unilaterally agreed upon amongst the off-worlders and the ancient races, that everything that you can pick up in the third dimension, which is where we live, everything you pick up is third dimensional. Some entities vibrate fast enough they will appear to disappear, but that's a vibratory thing. That's not, and that just might be terminology, I'm not sure. But it's a vibratory rate difference that creates the vanishing effect, not a dimensional difference.
Right.
As far as timeline, you're in this timeline or you're not. You don't jump timelines any more than you do multiversal realities, multi-universal.
Well, one of the things that I love about this question is the fact that there is debate in government on whether or not we're actually getting aliens from outer space, or if they are hopping in and out of dimensions. For people like me who may not really know the difference, Keith, can you break that down for us?
If you take, there's only 12 dimensions I know of, and do I know how to explain them in Terran terms? No, but I can tell you this. Taking a look at a third dimensional entity, you cannot push it into the fourth dimension and have it survive, or vice versa. But if you just take a look at a physical object and it's standing there normally, it appears normal. But the moment it moves too fast or vibrates too quick, the eye can't follow it and it steps out of sync. This was proven during the Philadelphia experiment. Okay.
Right.
And it's because what happens is they shift out of physical observational capacity and slip between the molecules. But that's a vibratory thing.
How many dimensions are there that we know of?
That I'm aware of, 12. And that's where it ends.
So which one's Bigfoot in?
The third. Remember that thing about if you can see them in this world, they're in the third dimension?
I know, but sometimes they're not.
Sometimes number one, camouflage is fantastic. Number two, they know how to vibrate fast enough to disappear while they're looking at you or while you're looking at them. And there are other species that do the same thing. Okay, by pigmentation modification or by simply vibrating.
All right. Let's move on here. We got 2 minutes to go before we hit the top of the hour break. Cindy would like to know, who are the tall whites who live underground in Nevada?
They're visitors from Aldebaran. Essentially, if you will, they're on an outing. Scientific exploration. Funny because the humans think they're examining them. Kind of like when the question of when you grab a tiger by the tail, who's got who? But those are the Aldebarans. Nice people, very highly intellectual.
All right, let's continue on. We got about 90 seconds. Let's get to Cindy's question. Oh, we already got that one. We are out of questions for right now, Keith. We really are. Oh, wow. Here's one from Justin. Can you ascend to higher vibratory state by humming?
Well, from a relaxation standpoint, yes. Okay, and yeah, from a high, when we're talking vibratory state, you can. Simply because what you're doing is you're syncing your vibration up with a higher, slightly off sync vibration of the area around you. Now, with that in mind, there may be people around you that report that you cease to exist. That you just blinked out of existence. That's because you've managed to get your entire cell structure to modify.
Interesting. Keith, we're going to hold it off right there because we are going to come back at the top of the hour with a little Steve Stockton from Among the Missing. And due to the fact that our UFO report and our reporter, Courtney Marcassani, is dealing with a family issue right now, she will be back next week or sooner. We're going to have Keith run right through tonight's show. As he has said, I'll stick around for the final hour. That's why we love our Keith Andrews around here. Always willing to help us out when in a jam. The ET Connection with R Keith Andrews continues on Spaced Out Radio right after this. So stay tuned. We got a lot more show coming right at you. after the break. All right, Keith, that worked much better without the camera, dude.
Okay. Well, we know that for later.
Yeah. I'm just going to take a step out. I'll be right back.
Okay, now. Uh-oh. Um. Yeah. I love some of these questions. Like I said, guys, I'm reading some of the questions that are popping here. But when Dave gets back, he'll catch up on them, and then we'll take a look at what's coming in. Well, look at that. Now, I'm just looking at this, and I tell you, the amount of questions that I'm working on. Actually, I've been off air for the last week because I was taking a computer programming course, not computer programming, but a computer operating course, in order to figure out how to get things to move a little easier. Yeah, Angels, it wasn't aside from a minor heart attack on Monday, it's just been literally a question of I was in class and wasn't getting finished class until 4:00. And then depending on traffic and my sense of direction, sometimes it took a while longer to get home. And there was no way I could be on time for the show. So I just decided I wasn't doing anything until this coming Monday. At that point, I'll be back on air. Oh, well, I mean, in all fairness, man, it really does boil down to if I'm not great, it's a good day. But you got to realize I've had more heart attacks than you've had birthdays. So I mean, the one thing I don't desire to do ever again, I tried one stroke, that was enough, not again. But one of the things that caused it was my literally bottling what I was thinking. So I just decided I just wasn't going to bother anymore. And yeah, that does upset some people. It was funny because I got corroborative evidence in my computer class in the last couple of days that computers absolutely do not work the normal fashion for me. They just don't at all. Good night, Catherine. Glad you could join us. But even the specialist in Microsoft Office that I was in the class with, she took one look at it and went, "How is that possible? Why, how can you not have part of the program?" Right? I said, I can't tell you that. I can just tell you that's the way it works. No, Justin, the stroke did not cause me to lose my memory. The only thing I lost with the stroke was I used to be able to write with my left hand. Okay, it came out mirror image, but I used to write better with my left hand than with my right. Now I can't write with the left. I've got to retrain myself. And my ability to completely emotionally disconnect from people got compromised. So when I was growing up, I never did feel any sort of laughter, any sort of fear. It was just I was there. Now I actually feel some what's going on, which causes complications.
Hi, Keith.
Hey, you're back. Yeah, you've got a couple of questions that came in, obviously, but you know that.
Yes.
Black Dragon, I have 3 rashers in the freezer. I had 4, but one of them went the way of the dodo bird yesterday.
All right, we got about 40 seconds here, Keith.
Yep, not a problem. I was going to say, what pray tell is Eloqua? Yeah, Cindy, I'm on no medication aside from hawthorn berry. Yeah, I've got a friend of mine that makes makes homemade hawthorn berry juice, and I do take that periodically. No, they wanted me on a few other things, and I just told them what they could do with them because the side effects weren't worth it to me.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live at KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Kinesics. Kinesics is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Here we go with the final hour of Spaced Out Radio. We're going to kick it off with Steve Stockton from Among the Missing and another creepy story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. Now here are some safety tips for visiting Joshua Tree National Park. It's vital to be mindful of the following tips and safety suggestions from the National Park Service. Cell phone service coverage is extremely limited inside the park. Therefore, relying on your cell phone in an emergency is not advisable. However, if you are in an area with cell phone service, you can dial 911 or call 909-383-5651 for assistance. You can also use emergency phones at the Indian Cove Ranger Station, Intersection Rock parking lot, or the Cottonwood Visitor Center. High temperatures, intense sunlight, and low humidity characterize summer in the desert. Drinking at least 1 gallon of water daily is essential to avoid dehydration. Visitors to the park should bring enough water with them for their visit. However, potable water is available at the Visitor Center in 29 Palms, at park headquarters, at Indian Cove Ranger Station, Cottonwood Campground, Black Rock Campground, and the West Entrance Station. Always travel with extra water in your vehicle. Snacking on salty food items on a hot day can help replace electrolytes lost through sweating. Protect yourself from the sun by wearing loose-fitting, light-colored clothing a wide-brimmed hat, and sunglasses. Remember to apply sunscreen to all exposed skin to prevent sunburn. It's also crucial to remember that any wild animal can be dangerous if approached. Additionally, these animals might carry lethal diseases. Therefore, it's best to view them from a distance or from the safety of your car. Please avoid approaching them to take pictures and educate children not to chase or pick up animals. Feeding wildlife is not recommended as it can harm the animals and cause them to become aggressive toward humans. To prevent animals from consuming your food, store it in hard siding containers or in your vehicle. Catching a glimpse of wildlife in the park is always an exhilarating experience. However, it's essential to remember that the park is their natural habitat, and we must ensure they can live without disturbances. The park is home to venomous animals, such as rattlesnakes, scorpions, and black widow spiders. Therefore, when hiking or climbing, look before placing your hands or feet, and avoid stepping or reaching into places you cannot see. Bees can be dangerous if their hives are threatened. They may attack, so staying away and listening for buzzing is best. Bees are attracted to moisture, including human sweat, and are particularly active in the dry summer. Don't swat at them. Keep food and drinks inside your vehicle and roll up your windows. Be cautious when exiting your car. Bees will collect water from any available source to regulate their hive's temperature. If you're allergic to bees, visit when bee activity is low in winter and always carry medication. It's crucial to remain vigilant when driving on park roads as they are narrow, curving, and have soft, sandy shoulders. Make sure to follow the posted speed limits, as many wild animals have been killed by speeding cars. Use pullouts or parking lots instead of stopping in the travel lane when viewing scenery or wildlife. Off-road driving is prohibited. In case you experience car trouble, stay with your vehicle.
Thank you to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing for another great story here on Spaced Out Radio, telling us about the Joshua Tree, the dangers of what is out there. All right, we continue with R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection as we got up till the top of the hour tonight. Keith, thank you so much for being here with us, my man.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
The questions that are coming in are great.
They always are, aren't they? They always are.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
no doubt.
Let's continue on. And let's get right to those questions here. Let's start off with Jenny. Did space beings and Source create Earth beings?
In a manner of speaking, the entities that took on the Alphid body, it was literally the Zerziks that built. It was spirits that built the Alphid body, and the Alphid, which are an ancient race, are actually the ones that work the DNA modification to accelerate the evolution of the chimpanzee into what we see as modern humans. So technically not off-worlders, but they were another race. As far as Source goes, all Source, or what many people call God, did was he opened the door, laid out the superstructure, and went, you've got free will, you've got free choice, go and figure out who and what you're capable of, but follow karmic law. And it does apply to everybody. Is he there to come and correct the mess? No. He just set it all in motion. You guys get to do with it what you will. You guys, by the way, in this case, does not just apply to humans. It applies to every race out there.
I love it. I love it. All right, Keith, let's continue on here. Let's go to Rat Sass. Do you or have you ever had government or military officials knock at your door or calling to ask questions?
The military, I spent 3 years in the MyLabs, but about 10, 15 years ago, I had the CIA show up on my doorstep looking for me by name to find out what I knew about the off-worlders. That was fun. But other than that, and I've had the police show up looking for information on other issues. but they weren't, not that I did anything wrong in all fairness, but because I've had the police show up looking for insight into finding missing people. So yeah, I've had I've had enough of that kind of interaction. I just don't go in there and offer the information. I figure if they want to find me, they know where I am.
All right, let's go to Nikki. Nikki is asking, how many types of off-worlders do you know of or that you believe are living underground on Earth?
I have no way of giving you even a rough gauge on that one. Take a look at it this way. For every species that we have on the surface of Earth, we have a functionally equal number living under Earth, living in what you call inner Earth. So I haven't got a prayer of giving you even a rough estimate. I can tell you most of what people call mythological creatures, mythological entities, are actually real. But numbers, that's one I just have no way of giving you.
Okay. Let's ride this one out. From DB, are there any aliens out there that look exactly like us? If so, do they visit Earth?
Well, that's an easy one. The Mobians visit here on a regular basis. Mobians are actually genetically completely compatible for an interspecies relationship, for a naturally conceived hybrid. Mobians are, genetically speaking, human. They just happen to have some added skills that they learned to develop over time. But yeah, they visit here quite regularly.
Do they have or have you ever seen any of these aliens having like the same things we do here on Earth? Like, do they have gas stations? Do they have restaurants? Do they have
Their version of it, yes. If you go over to the lunar way station, you think about if you think about that neat little station in Star Wars, that Lando Calrissian ran. Okay, it's pretty much the same way. Okay, they do have technology. They do have that kind of a setup. They just have different meals. It's just a different palette. I mean, you take a look at the Umion. The Umion, they still have their restaurants. They still have their their vehicles. And well, the Umion don't actually have vehicles, but they do have the restaurants. Thing is, the Umion can literally consume wavelengths of light. That's what they live on. Whereas humans that say, "Oh, I'm a breatharian, I don't have to eat." Take a so-called a self-proclaimed breatharian. Don't feed them for a month. Then you can bury them. The Umion aren't human. They don't require physical food. Neither do the Vorosic or the Zerzics.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense, Keith. Let's go to another question. Let us go to, let's see here. Let's go to Terry. Are there any aliens who are complete materialists who don't believe in spirits?
There are. And again, they're more than welcome to it. Okay, there are some that go, no, we are. I mean, you take a look at the Talon. Sure, I've got that name memorized. I remembered wrong. I'm just taking a look to see if I know who I'm looking for. No, Xenon. Yeah, it's a Xenon. 61. What I'm scanning through, for those of you that can't see, is I happen to have a book here that I've translated a lot of the information into. Yes. Just double checking. There are some of these guys of the Xenon that, some believe in a higher power. Many of them don't. Simply because of the fact that they build their own bodies.
Right. Okay,
And
let's continue.
Absolutely.
Are you wanting to continue, or you want to stick with
Oh,
that
no,
so
I'm
far?
quite content to continue. That's not a problem.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, the aspect of, we talk a lot about humans, Keith. We don't talk a lot about what they do with animals, whether it's elephants, lions, dogs, cats, bears, pigs, whatever it may be. We know that there is an issue with cows, being and sometimes
Dissected.
horses being dissected. What's the deal with our animals?
They actually take a full array of samples. You heard me a little earlier. Now, the ones that take humans are zeta reticulans, but the reta reticulans and the beta reticulans, well, the reta reticulans are the ones that deal with the agriculture and with your general people, your general animals, and they will do the same thing. Take fluid samples, take skin samples, hair, that sort of thing, and put them back. The reason we don't hear about it is because the last time a sheep got taken, it didn't actually tell any human about its experience. They find the same thing happens with a cactus. They just don't relay the information well.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Okay, so do they carry pets on their own?
Some of them do. This is why we have the chupacabra. It's also why we have the octopus. And for that matter, I am a firm believer that jellyfish is a side effect of them arriving here. And no, sorry, I do not recall the name of the jellyfish like race. I do have it written down. I've got information on it, but with the way the computer's been acting today, I'm not about to go looking for it.
Right. Right. I don't blame you. So, what do they do with our pets?
Usually return them. Every once in a while, you get some genius that picks up a pet and goes, "Oh, I like this," and decides to keep it. Most of the time, if they keep it because it's a pet. Of course, in all fairness, with many of the reptilians and others of the like the Grun, for instance, which are not an off-world, they're nature race. Grun, if they pick up somebody's pet dog, the odds are you're not getting it back. Because the Grun they are full carnivores.
The Grons. Okay, I can see that. All right, let's go to Neil here. Are ETs able to happen across a wormhole or portal and know the destination prior to entry?
Absolutely, they are. With a technological wormhole, in other words, they trigger it. They specify where they're aiming for. Now, the neat thing about a wormhole is it doesn't have to worry. They don't have to worry about a physical astronomical body. Okay, they just don't have to worry about planets, stars, asteroids. They don't have to worry about any of that because they're traveling out of sync with the third dimension. at which point things just pass right through them or vice versa. But they absolutely know where they're going. With the stable wormholes that exist, and they're just there because that's the way the universe was put together, they know where they're going after they've traveled them a number of times, or after somebody has mapped them out. It's just like humans driving along roads. Okay. Or a more confined version of air traffic, where you take a plane off the ground, the pilot knows where he's heading and knows the route to stay on, knows how to navigate around atmospheric storms. Pilots running the wormhole runs know the same thing with solar storms or gravitational fluctuations. Those are usually caused by planetary or solar detonation. And rest assured, if you think an avalanche is bad, blow a planet up. That's got a whole lot more shrapnel.
Yeah, that's a big boom. That's for sure.
It's big enough to vaporize it.
We got 3 minutes to go before we have to go to break here at the top of the hour. R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection continuing here on Spaced Out Radio. Okay, Keith. Let's while we're waiting for more questions from our audience, we know that there are a number of species visiting here on Earth as we speak.
Yeah.
Do the aliens just visit everywhere, or do they have pre-selected areas where they will go or won't go? So like, say for instance, aliens seen in South America often seem to be really different than the ones seen in North America.
Yeah, that's because the consortium blocks it out when a new race comes into the area and says, we'd like to research this. The consortium, the planners, will sit down and go, okay, here's a section that nobody else is in right now, deal with this area. That way they can track, if you will, the archaeological dig sites. It's quite a well-organized setup. It's just a very big grid. And yes, some of those grid lines are underwater.
Okay. Weird. Okay, so give an example. The extraterrestrials that seem to be around Argentina, Peru, Brazil, they seem a little bit more violent than the ones we seem to get here in North America.
This is correct. But that's because the race is a little more violent. They still have to adhere to certain rules. Like, they still are not permitted to share their combat technology or their transportation technology with mankind. Humans still have to develop that of their own. This does not mean humans don't have some of the tech and are working on it. But certain races, like for instance, if you take a look at the Moldocs, okay, Moldocs are a particularly aggressive race. That they are given an area, they're told, you want to do that? Okay, we know you've come a long way, and instead of you going haphazardly out there and wiping out everything, you can operate in these areas. But it's kind of like giving somebody a license to go bear hunting. You have a limit to what you can do. Exceed that limit, and you will have a limit of 0. There is no halfway.
All right, Keith, we're going to shut you down right there because we got you for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. And when we return, we are going to get into more questions from our audience for R Keith Andrews and the ET Connection, Keith's final appearance of 2023 on Spaced Out Radio. So stay tuned. We got another fun half hour of the Mighty SOR coming right back. All right, we are clear.
And this has been right. This is going rather nicely. It is good to know that with the, it's unfortunate, but, shutting down the camera seems to have stabilized things.
Mm-hmm. All right, who showed up here? Flat 6, how you doing? Yes, Nikki, I got your questions. Tim Mothman, how's the goatee tonight? Love the question, Darth. Thank you again. Yeah, my beard's oiled too, man. Gotta have a nice beard oil. That's what I'm going to be pushing for here very soon. It's a beard oil sponsor.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, mine I keep removing. Oh, very important question, and if you've got people listening in, it won't hurt. I am planning on being down in Nevada, but because I've got the money handy, I want to book it ahead of time while I've still got the money. I just need to know what hotel to go to.
Silver Legacy Casino and Resort.
Just marking that down.
Yep.
The Silver Legacy?
Yes.
Because I'm thinking I've got access to the money now. So I might just as well get it bought and paid for.
Yes. You got your passport?
Just got my passport about a week and a half ago.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's good until 33.
Good for you. Oh, you got the 10-year.
I got the 10-year.
Nice.
I figured this may be one of 2 trips I'm making, one of 3 trips I'm making down there over the next decade. So,
Good for you. Yes, we got to rally the troops.
Okay.
Got to rally the troops, everybody, for
Would you
Reno, Nevada. Susie B will be in Reno, Nevada.
Would you be kind enough to get me a phone number that I can get a hold of these guys with? Obviously not right now.
Yeah. A little busy right now.
Yeah, well, that's why I say obviously not right now. I'm not even looking for it tonight because let's face it. We wrap this up, and I don't know about you, but pretty much time to pack it in.
True. Mama Susan. Yeah, we want to see you all down in Reno, May 10th through 12th, 2024 at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort. So that way we can all party together for the SOR fan party. Doug Shelby's going to come. the Doug Shelby will be in Reno. All right, buddy, we got about 40 seconds.
Well, that ought to be interesting. That's May 10th through 12th?
Yeah.
Well, if all goes well, I'll be in that same weekend is my 61st birthday.
Good. Then you can celebrate your birthday with us, bud. All right, 15 seconds.
Absolutely.
Here we go. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate you. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. R Keith Andrews of the ET Connection continues right now as we're having a lot of fun with Keith, taking him right to the top of the hour in his final appearance of 2023. Keith, thank you for being here, my man.
And thank you so much for having me. Welcome back to all those people that are listening in here.
And we got good news. You're going to be joining us as one of our celebrity guests at the 3rd annual SOR fan party in Reno, Nevada, which is going to be awesome. That's May 10th through 12th. Everyone is invited. Everyone. So glad you're going to be there, Keith.
Yeah, it took a lot of doing, but, they finally dropped enough restrictions, and I got my new my passport in, so I figure I said I was going to try last year, and that just didn't work that well.
Yeah, well, we're glad you're here, my man. We're glad you're going to be there. It's going to make it a lot of fun for our audience, for sure. Okay, let's continue on with audience questions here. I got a pair from Nikki for you, and she is asking, Keith, when on board an ET ship and then being returned to one's home on Earth, why does our human body have physical effects from being on board their ship? Is it a different atmosphere or pressure on board?
It's actually a different gravitational pull, usually signified by a potassium or calcium crash. And if you look into it, even the astronauts that we send up there to orbit, once they've been up there for a few days, they have the same problem when they get back here. This is one of the telltale marks that you can look at. If you think you've been taken, take a look at whether you've had a potassium or a calcium crash. And the odds are you were. Now, do understand there is an illness on this planet where people will spontaneously suffer from a potassium crash. So it's not a dead giveaway.
All right. Second question from Nikki. Why would the Arcturians, Pleiadians, and various types of Greys and numerous other off-worlders abduct humans and deliberately do hybridization?
Because they are growing, and in all fairness, the best ones for it are the Greys. But they're doing it because they're working on growing cultural interpreters. Understanding the DNA contains, in any species, the DNA contains instinctive cultural understanding. Okay, as in generational. Well, you can program a computer to handle language, but it boils down to here's a language structure, and they just they plug and play. When you're dealing with cultural, the best way I heard it put, on Earth, it doesn't matter where you are. If somebody holds out a what looks like a cup and says anything to you, most people assume that that is simply they're offering you a drink. It's usually a gesture of friendship, or of at least decent behavior. When you do that to an off-worlder, holding a cup out, they don't know if what you're saying or what you're signifying is friendly. They don't know if you what you said is cup. This is the color of the cup. The liquid is called this thing. This is something for you to drink. It's a threat. There's no commonality. So the hybridization program is to grow cultural hybrids that understand both cultures on an instinctive level. In a nutshell, that's your reason. Or more to the point, that's their reason. The Zeta Reticulan just simply have a better record with it.
Rock and roll. All right. From UK, Dogman UK. So they, as in the aliens, must breathe air like us?
Some, not all of them. Many have rebreathers or different ways of it. But like the Pleiadian, for instance, a pure blood Pleiadian would die in the Earth's atmosphere just because the atmosphere is wrong. Okay. That's why you'll never see a purebred Pleiadian here. Conversely, a human on a Pleiadian ship would die for exactly the same reason. But that's what they're up to.
Let us go to, hold on. My screen just jumped on me. Let us go to Neil. What's the proper name for the facehugger ETs? And where do they live?
The where they live can't exactly tell you, but I can tell you you're talking about the Cheechak. They are a Hollywood stylized version of the actual race. Yeah, that is how they reproduce. Like what you saw in the movie Alien, is the way they reproduce. And yeah, needless to say, it's fatal for the host. But it's not just humans they do that to. Specifically what planet they live on, I honestly couldn't tell you. And you'll notice I said couldn't. Mind you, I have trouble remembering what city anybody else lives on Earth.
Right. Okay, well, let's go on here. Let's go to the Dogman UK. How do aliens feed and go to the toilet, please?
Would you believe me if I told you they feed by utilizing their mouth or their methods? Which are varied as different races are, as varied as different corporeal races are. I mean, some of them, I don't know how I can answer that. I mean, other than they use standard methods, if you will. Some get rid of their excrement just straight out of their skin. They literally just sweat it out. Which sounds really bad if you're thinking in terms of what humans dispose of. It's not done the same way and doesn't result in the same offshoot. I know, and I can't remember the name right offhand. I've got him written down. But if they reach out to shake your hand, and this is where that cultural deviation comes in. You go to shake a human's hand, This is no problem. You're shaking hands, you're saying hi in any nationality on Earth. There's one race where you shake their hand, you're offering them a meal. And they literally disgorge their stomach out of their forearm to wrap around your hand and start dissolving you while they're talking to you.
See that?
Not all beings eat the same way that humans do.
Right. Right. Okay. Let us go to, let's see here. Mr. Maylock here, Darth Maylock. The saga of Valiant Thor, Keith. Was he truly an alien, and is he still alive out there?
Number one, yes. Okay. And like he's one of the Nords, and here's the neat little kicker to it. When they got here, they told the locals they were from Mount Olympus. They weren't kidding. The problem is Mount Olympus isn't on Earth. And just like the Eniod, when the consortium got here, they looked at the so-called Norse gods, which, by the way, Norse, Roman, Greek, all the same gods. They just went to different countries at different times. Okay, but when the consortium got here, they went off, like you're gone. And now, let's see, we're only 2,000 years later. The odds are very good that Thor himself is still alive. By the way, I doubt very much that's his real name.
Yeah, I think that's more of a humanized name.
Pretty much. Because they have a tendency of having very long, very drawn out names. However, did he control lightning the way that the stories tell? The answer is yes, or more to the point, he drew lightning. Drew it as he pulled it to him.
So weird. So weird. All right.
Only from a human standpoint.
Nikki is asking, some people state that human military have and can threaten to terrorize other specific humans in other realms in the afterlife. What is your viewpoint on this?
It's comical. I won't argue, I won't debate whether or not people claim it. I will tell you, you get over to the afterlife, and you're going to find out, no matter how strong an individual you are on Earth, you may find you don't live up to your own egocentric expectations. Because rest assured, everything over there is not human. On the other hand, they do like bullies over there. And I don't mean they like them as in they accept them.
Right. I get that. Okay. Let's see what else we have for you here. You know, because I know it's starting to wind down.
Yep.
Let's see where we are, Keith. Let's see where we are. All right. That's it for our live questions for right now. I want to ask you a couple, if you don't mind.
Not in the
There's a lot of people like myself, Keith, who have had a lot of ET contact, and then it just seems to stop. Why does it stop?
Because whatever they were dealing with the individual, they got the information they required, and now they're just doing data analysis in most cases, or they've moved on to another subject to come back to. In your case, I happen to know they're taking a bit of a break. Well, you got a little occupied, but you haven't been forgotten. Oh, something I did discover the other day while I was poking around: the Zeta Reticulans are almost a cross between a reptilian heritage and an insectivorid. As far as human comparative goes.
Okay. And why should that matter to us?
Probably shouldn't. From your standpoint, the only thing that matters ultimately is they reach a certain point, they pulled as much information as they require. And for the time being, that's all they require. And this is why it starts without warning and ends without warning. Quite often, the whole thing, as you can well imagine with a scientist, it's a curiosity thing that starts it.
Okay. So, for getting back to my original question, for those of us who haven't had contact recently, or the contact seems to have stopped, how do we know if that contact's gone forever or just on a hiatus?
If they show up again, it was only on a hiatus. And yeah, I know that sounds like kind of an odd way to look at it, but it literally boils down to you don't. So you do your best to carry on with your life as best you can, file it away as an experience, and do what you can to move forward. If they show up again, well, you'll be the second to know.
Right. Right. How does it start up again? Does it just happen?
Well, again, it really boils down to scientific procedure. We had all this data. It's been X number of months or X number of years. Humans change. Let's take a look and compare what they went through, what we had for markers before, and what the readings are now, and take a look at what their life has changed. And they will while they've got you up there, they will go through your memories. Okay. To take a look at what you've been through, what sort of trauma, whether you've moved or not, because the human race on the whole is still nomadic. So they'll give it a certain period of time and then go, okay, let's go back and revisit this group and see how it's evolved. Farley Mowat of Earth was one that did that quite frequently with the wolf packs he was tracking.
Right. Right. Okay. So for people like me who want that contact, it's not something we should worry about.
No, absolutely not.
That's good to know.
It's very seldom that you've got to worry about that at all, because these guys have their intention is to get the information and disrupt your life as much as possible. You just happen to have one of those really weird setups that went a little sideways, because as with humans, not all off-worlders do what they're told.
Right. Which I think is a good thing.
Oh, personally, so do I. I will tell you there's some off-worlders that do not like that at all. To say the least, they're a little bit of a stick in the mud.
I don't blame them. Can you?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's their fault.
Why?
If they're the ones choosing to be a stick in the mud, or for, if give them the benefit of the doubt, if they don't know how not to be, it's still them doing it. It's not my doing it. It's my doing it if I'm politically incorrect, or, if you will, blunt. I can't blame you for my being blunt. Well, I can. It just doesn't add up to a whole lot.
That I understand. 3 minutes to go here, Keith, before we got to say goodnight to you on tonight's show. It's always a pleasure. Let's get to Nikki's question. How are ETs changing the size of their ships, going from the normal size down to orbs?
Oh, molecular compression. I know that sounds way too easy, but that's literally what they do. They shrink the amount, they expel, and they've got to do it if they're taking them down, depending on the ship. Okay, they're not only expelling the excess matter from the ship, but also from their corporeal bodies. There's a lot of empty space in between atoms, and they just know how to expel it.
Right.
Or for that matter, draw it back in.
Well, sometimes there is no choice.
Sometimes it's the only way to survive.
Exactly. Exactly. Keith, what is your message looking back on 2023 for all the people that we've helped this year?
Ultimately, from my standpoint, thank you so much for the questions. The reality is my hope for the future is that you guys will continue working towards getting along and finding and focusing on the similarities between you and others. Doesn't matter where the other people are in the world, because this, Spaced Out Radio has a phenomenally global following. And we do this from all over the world. My hope is that this will be carried out to the rest of the world, to the people you guys run into away from the channel, from this stream.
Well, sometimes you got to run into a storm in order to get the answers.
Sometimes you do. But why create the storm if you can find a way around it?
Keith, tell everybody where they can find your information.
Easiest way to find me on YouTube is R Keith Andrews. At the bottom of every one of the videos, you'll find a way to get a hold of me. But my primary email is innervoiceenterprises@yahoo.ca. And absolutely drop me a line. I will be more than happy to answer questions for you.
I know you will. That's the kind of guy you are. And, the one thing we should tell our audience, too, is you're not just helping people on this show. You have your own YouTube channel, which is R Keith Andrews. And you know what? People can reach out to you on social media just to say hello and get their questions answered in private in case they don't want to go public with it. Keith, thank you for a special 2023 here on Spaced Out Radio. You were amazing this year, and I'm so proud that we're going to continue on in 2024, my friend.
It is hard. It's been a riot, but it's hard to believe we're going into year 11.
10.
Year 10?
Year 10. Yeah. Year 10, my man. Keith, I appreciate you and our friendship and everything. So thank you very much, my man.
Well, thank you so much, sir, Dave. I do appreciate it. And
Our
I will catch up with you again.
You sure will, my man. Merry Christmas to you. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home.
I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful show. The R, the Keith, and the Andrews all rolled into one. There you go, my friend.
Have a good night there, Dave.
Appreciate you, Keith. We love you, man.
Well, thank you so much. Do not work too hard.
Yes, of course. Of course. Have a great one and Merry Christmas, okay?
And same to you and yours there, Dave.
You too. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
R Keith Andrews, everybody. R Keith Andrews. Woo! Sweet Robbie G, I sent you an email. And hi for your mind. Quite the character and favorite part of SOR. I don't get it. Oh, R Keith, yeah. Driftwood, how you doing, my man? Yeah, the pork chops were good. Too bad we couldn't see them tonight. I think I'm going to edit this show tomorrow or Sunday. No, forget. Just do it right now. So tired. Bear with me here. Sweet Robbie G, did you check your email? All right, everybody. You have a great weekend. Thank you to our super chatters tonight. Thank you to our new subscribers that are shooting up again. Very much appreciate you. I'm a little tired here, to be blunt, and I'm just gonna take my time here and get things done in the quiet, because normally I'll end up falling asleep in the studio, then waking up in the middle of the night being, oh, where am I? And this is uncomfortable. So thank you, everyone. Cryptid Huntress and Sweet Robbie G this weekend. Support them all. Support the love. Support everything. Thanks, the Doug Shelby. I appreciate it. We'll see you all on Monday, everybody. Who will be my guest? Monday. Mike Filament. What's he talking about? In the shadow of Big Red Eye. Search for Bigfoot. Nice. The Geraldine, Michael W. Hall, Earl Grey, Ananda Bozeman. What's she talking about? Cosmology and semantic art. I like it. See you next week, everybody. I love you. Take care.
healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.